Welcome to this week's episode of Virtually Amazing Assistants, the podcast for assistants everywhere. And I'm Shelley Fishel, the MS Office Maestro, helping you learn how to get the most out of your Microsoft applications. And as I work primarily with assistants all over the place, be they executive assistants, personal assistants, virtual assistants, office managers, I like to give a platform to brilliant and amazing assistants. And this week, I have with me the absolutely amazing Annabelle Bailey or Anna Bailey. How do you prefer to be addressed?
Anna.
And Anna is the founder of PallyTalk, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. In fact, that's probably going to be most of what we talk about today. But I've got a little bio here, and as in my previous episodes, you'll know I have a crib sheet, and I'm going to crib from my crib sheet to make sure I don't miss anything. So, Anna is the founder of PallyTalk, which is a networking assistant platform. And she's got, this is just mind boggling, over 1,350 registered users already, and it's dedicated to empowering female assistants. And this is the really mind boggling thing. It only launched in March 2024, and we're recording this in on January the 14th of 2025. And that's an astonishing rate of growth. So we're going to talk about that. And the focus is connecting women and promoting flexible work opportunities. Well, we all want more of those, don't we? And the platform aims to break open the little black book that everybody has of contacts and allow and enable any female to enter the industry and learn the skills they need to be an assistant with the support of fellow assistants. Now, it started as a maternity project. Well, anybody that has had a baby will know that that's quite an undertaking on its own. But to start a project like this and grow so fast is incredible. And because Anna was a full-time EA in a family business and moved to remote working and being by herself. And I think that's what prompted this whole thing. And when she's not working, she loves spending time with her baby, which is amazing. So, Anna, what have I missed, or is there anything you want to add to that introduction?
You covered basically everything. We actually are now over 1,600 members.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's we had like a flurry of sign-ups before Christmas, which was incredible. And then we obviously the break. So we're just building up the momentum again. But yeah, an extra 300 from when we last spoke.
Wow, that is just amazing, really amazing. So, what happened? First of all, obviously, I'm assuming. So, please correct me if I'm wrong. That you left your executive assistant role because of maternity leave, or because you had, or what sparked you leaving? Because you could have gone back, I assume.
Mm. So I was at the family office for nearly 2 years, and I had moved out of London within the last 4 or 5 months of the job. And I was commuting from Peterborough. So I was having early mornings, then getting on the train and then commuting at the other end. And at one point the office was in Hampstead. So I was going sort of
Oh,
down and then back up and then but we decided that I wasn't home enough. I was leaving at 6 and sort of getting back at 8, and I was working pretty much 24/7 throughout that, which had I not met my husband, I would have continued to do happy as Larry. But I think when you suddenly got a home, but you're creating a home life,
yeah,
seems mad to be away from it for just so long. And so when I got married, I handed in my resignation, and I moved away from London. I moved away from the job, so I wasn't going to continue or go back. I mean, at the time when I left, I thought if I choose to pick up the full time career again, I'd love to go back to that family office. But at the time, the timings weren't right for me to stay in London, so I moved.
right. So that's very courageous. So you left that executive assistant position. What did you do in the interim? Did you take a local position, or did you set yourself up as a virtual assistant? What happened next?
Yeah, so I'd done website creation before. For I worked for a I did loads of jobs before I found my feet as an assistant. And so I created a virtual assistant website, and I had one remote client, and then I worked for a company called Metal Form locally. So I was still going into the office 2 days a week and being a virtual assistant. And then I realized that my brain doesn't work very well with more than one client. So I stopped going into the office and worked for this one lady as a virtual assistant. And then I just realized how much I loved it and how much of a life you get back and how much work you can do at home. And I hadn't done anything. I hadn't really worked from home before that. So it was a really eye-opening year, I think I worked for Sarah Ann. And then I got pregnant. So then I left
Oh,
for my maternity leave.
fantastic. So
Yeah.
while you were on maternity leave, you had this idea for PallyTalk. How did talk us through all of that? Because lots of people probably think of doing something, but you actually made it happen.
Yeah. When I was after uni, I went to Sri Lanka on holiday, and I decided to set up a jacket business. And I was bringing, I don't know if you know, they're like Nehru style, the short collar, straight down, beautiful fabrics jackets. And I was going to local trades fairs and I was selling them. And then after about 2, 3 years, I then got my first proper job, or proper job, but first full-time job in an office, and couldn't do the both. So I had to close that business. And really, since I closed that, I've been like, "Oh, what can I do next? What can I do next?" And it's always been, you go on dog walks and you sort of think, "What can I do? What can I do as my own business?" So it's always been sort of an idea in the making. And then getting pregnant, working remote, being an assistant and loving being an assistant and sort of wanting to promote the assisting world from home, the idea sort of came to one. And then with the background with slight website creation and sort of knowing how to start with like blogs and a newsletter, etc., I just sort of put it into motion in just knowing that I was due to have a baby in April, so I had enough time to build up
Yeah.
the subscription base, get their website made, and then have a baby.
Amazing. Amazing. And you found it quite easy to get people to subscribe right from the off?
Do you know what? It was, I thought it would be, we created a landing page that was all branded and it looked amazing. And I started connecting with people on LinkedIn. But I think LinkedIn for with assistants, it's such an active platform that as soon as I'd connected with, let's say, 5 or 10 assistants, and I told them the story of PallyTalk and what I aim to offer them once it's launched. They were sort of just joining to see the journey. And
Yeah.
then obviously when it was launched, they had the option to sign up and become a member. And I suppose because it was, I wasn't asking anything from them, and they all sort of took to it really well. And I think that's when I realized that actually assistants like the community feel, and maybe there wasn't something that they had available at the time. So they all took to it, and we had about 300 signups before launching in March. And then it just helped the membership come off the ground because we already had a like a buffer of contacts. So it was that in a way gave me the confidence to continue. I think if the initial couple of months had been 5 or 10 email addresses, it would have made it a tougher start.
So that's amazing. So what do you offer your members? What do they get when they join up or sign up with you? What apart from access to your website?
Yeah. Well, they get it's quite different to the other platforms because I haven't got training and webinars and those sort of things. So at the moment, it's totally free. You log in, there's a dashboard where you can sort of post something about your day or what you're looking for, or something you're a service provider you're looking for help with. And then we have a blog which has a female wellness series, a female founders series, and then a VA tips and blogs written by other VAs to sort of help you transition from office to virtual assistant. We have a jobs board. It's free to apply, free to post. So any sort of employer, recruiter, etc., can create their profile as well, post jobs for free, and have the assistants apply via PallyTalk. And then we have the WhatsApp group, which we initially had the group chat on PallyTalk, but as you can imagine, WhatsApp is so convenient, and it's just sort of, I know everyone gets bored of so many groups, but with the notifications on your phone, it's just the most instant chat. So we have a WhatsApp group now, which may eventually go back onto PallyTalk, but at the moment it's just a group of, I think we're about 300 on there. We have a jobs group and a just a chat group where people can ask sort of, need a villa in the south of France tomorrow. Can anyone help me? And it's just like, it's just that open black book of contacts. Need a flower delivery company, and it's just that community again. It's just so people can ask these questions when they get stuck.
That's amazing. So it's just about building a community. So I'm going to ask the $64 million question. How do you monetize it? Or are you working as a VA alongside it in order to
So we this was an interesting one to begin with, because obviously when we were launching it, we looked at all the other, I'm saying we, but I'm sort of me and my me and my ideas. But I had a look at all the other assistant networks, and charging for a membership is, it does make it, it's sort of the most obvious way to make money back from it. But I think I never wanted it to be paid, because I think it's a tricky one when you're working for yourself. You can't ask your employer to pay for you to join a community. You have to pay for it yourself. And then I was like, oh no, that's not what I want to achieve from it. So I had to sort of step back, and we've gone down the advertising route. We have sponsored LinkedIn posts. We have sponsored, actually, Instagram posts that they're not paid, but we have sponsored LinkedIn posts. We have website banners. I don't know if you've had logged in. We have one across the top, some on the
yeah.
side. And so there's opportunities for brands to partner with us in that way. And then we've got a new, obviously, the newsletter. We do solus newsletters where we'll just send an email out with the brand, teaching the assistant about the company. But generally, so far, they've been companies that have been referred by other members on the WhatsApp group. So they're still a trusted
Nice.
provider, but it's just, we've just partnered in a paid advertising format, because I hope to keep PallyTalk free forever, jobs and membership wise. And I'm hoping, so this advertising route is how to sustain it, really. And I'm not working as a virtual assistant right now, but I did consider it, because obviously, if you I'm busy sat at my desk anyway, and I sometimes think, should I have a project on the side? But like I said earlier, my brain's not very good at having the two channel separation. But yeah, we'll see. But hopefully, if the advertising partners continue, I can sustain an income that way.
That's amazing. Now, I totally get what you mean. I take my metaphorical hat off to all those assistants out there that work virtually. Whether you're a personal assistant, executive assistant in a company working for more than one director, more than one executive, or whether you're a virtual assistant working with several clients, I find the idea of that multi environment also, how do you switch from one to the other? Now, yes, may have different clients on the go, but it's all the same thing. It's all training, and I'm delivering training or designing training or talking to them about what they need. So it kind of is not multi-channel. It's just lots of different bits of the same thing. So I do get that. And I often wonder how all the assistants out there actually are assistants, because I don't think I could do that job. I
Mhm.
mean, I've got the skills to do it, but whether I would want to sit there and do it is quite another matter. So I totally get you there. So your day really then is spent the whole time is spent on Pally Talk.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I wake up living and breathing PallyTalk, and I go to sleep thinking about it too. It sort of, it takes over everything. But yeah, and I since, well, we've done 8 or 9 months. The to-do list has become extraordinary, and as I'm sort of getting through one task, I'll be going, "Oh my gosh, I need to do that. I need to do that." So I at the moment, I need to go back to my assistant world and focus my energy on specific tasks, because
Yeah.
it's all very overwhelming with so many things going on at once.
Yes, I suppose you have to look at Pally Talk as if it's your client.
Yeah.
Really. And okay, so you're working for with this with rather than for this client. And what does this client need from
Yeah.
you to get this whatever it needs done? So yeah, I think yeah, that's probably what you need to do. So what have been the challenges along the way? One of my questions on my list. What's one of the challenges? Well, what challenges have you faced with growing this membership?
I would probably say it's the it's a positive and a negative completely, and I'm fortunate to be in the situation, but probably the speed of the growth,
Yeah.
because we did our first event, which was a great success, and that in itself was sort of like another like, oh my god, this is actually I can continue doing this. People are really enjoying it, and I suppose it's not as far as I'd say imposter syndrome, but it's a bit that even sitting here on this podcast, I think like this is totally bonkers. How am I here? But I think it's a case of in me the challenge being keeping up with the growth and keeping up with the sort of reputation it's sort of carrying with it and supporting the members on what they want from Pally Talk. And I suppose we had a survey sent out before Christmas because everyone kept saying, "So, what do your members do? Who are they?" And it's really hard because I had to say I actually haven't done a survey yet. So I did a survey, and the feedback was really interesting. And I suppose the challenges is learning where I need to focus on, responding to assist every member as a person, and understanding as a whole what they need from Pally Talk. And I suppose, yeah, it's just balancing all of that alongside sort of making it monetary successful enough to continue. And yeah, it's just the challenges is just the balancing of the where to focus, keeping the members as the key focus, and where to go next, I suppose. And it's just sort of gathering that all into your morning when you sit down, you sort of go, where do I start? Where and I think that's been the challenge. I do think my I feel like I don't know if it's baby related or Pally Talk related, but yeah, it's been the focus, I think, has been the biggest challenge.
So have you I've got a couple more questions, the things that
Mm.
are just sparking off our conversation. So one of them is, have you worked with a mentor or an advisor or somebody who can support you in getting all that stuff out your head and figuring out what you want to do?
Do you know what? I haven't. I spoke to a lady yesterday who I'm partnering with on a concierge front. We're adding a PallyTalk concierge, and which actually no one knows yet. So that's going to be revealed this week. But she was talking about she's getting a business coach, and to be fair, before that, I hadn't considered it. But I think the more I'm potentially getting fried in my focus, then yeah, I definitely think it's something I need to look into. And I suppose when you look into something like that, it's just finding the right one and finding someone that really works with you and understands the goals.
Yeah, that's absolutely key. I mean, in my very long business journey, because I've been
Mm.
going, I've had my own company since 2002, so quite a long time. And I've worked with several business coaches over the years for different, sometimes for different purposes. You come across somebody, you book 6 sessions, you work with them, you sort out that issue, and then you might find somebody else because as you grow your needs grow and your business changes, and you may not need the same the same thing that you needed at the beginning. But I think it's a really great thing to do, because an outsider, and I do this for my own business, somebody else looking in can see things that you can't see and can help you with that kind of, well,
Yeah.
what's my focus. And I've recently had some marketing coaching. I do my own personal development because nobody else is going to do it for you. That's the thing. As you said before, when you work for yourself, you are your employer. So you have to take charge of your own, whatever that might be, whether
Mm.
that's managing somebody's calendar or growing a membership. But the buck stops here, I suppose. So I
Yeah.
wanted to know about the name. That's kind of popped into my head. Why Pally Talk? I've got an idea, but I just want to hear from you.
Well, we had a couple of if there's LinkedIn connects of mine who connected with at the beginning. It was actually Connect Me, but with a three as the E in
Yeah.
Connect. And I sent it round. And initially, when I was sort of getting newsletter signups, it was for Connect Me. And I contacted some branding companies, agencies to do the logo and the colouring, etc. And I had a call with one that said, one word of advice, you need to get rid of that number in your company name. And I was sort of like, what? Why? I've come up with this. This is my LinkedIn page. This is my website now. This is my. And it just means when people are trying to look for you, they can't find you because they'll put the E instead of the three, or they'll put the three in the wrong place. And so then we went back to the drawing board, and we wanted to find something that was sort of about chatting, about being like Pally wasn't the word we initially thought of, but then pal, friend, and when you're looking for a website domain, you have to sort of keep searching because it's amazing how many names are already gone. And then Pally Talk, we thought about it and we sat on it for a couple of days, and then we were like, I like it. And it wasn't one of those that has a really long, nice sort of story back line, but it was just a domain that was available. And then we were like, oh, I like that name. So anyway, we went with it and we changed it, and then the branding was done. And then since then, yeah, it's kept the
Taken off.
same.
Well, that's kind of what I thought, because I was thinking, does it come from pals talking, friends talking? And I think it's really suits, it really suits what it says, what
Yeah.
it does on the tin, basically, which is amazing. So this has just been fascinating. So what I'd like to ask just before we wrap up, which I ask every guest, is do you have any tips for our listeners if they're going to embark on a new journey? What would you tell yourself, I suppose, before starting? What do you know now that you wish you'd known then?
I actually wrote down 3, but I think of another one whilst
Fantastic.
you were talking. I think if you're in your role, or whatever career situation you're in, and you want to take the leap, change to something else. You've met someone and they've offered you a job, or you know how to create a website and you don't know how to start marketing it. I think what I would just say is just take the risk. Just start. And I read something online the other day that just said, just post it, just post it, just post it on your Instagram, just post it on your LinkedIn, just it might take 6 months to get a first client as a VA, or if you want to move, it might take you 6 months to settle in and find your feet. But I think it's, if you're not happy or want to change where you are, I think just take the risk, and or start working on a new project you do see a future in. So I think, had I not started the LinkedIn page in December, when I was sitting at home a couple of days before Christmas, it never would have PallyTalk never would have happened. And you only know after a couple of months of sort of chatting to people and networking that something might potentially work. And until you've sort of done that post, you don't know. So yeah, just take the risk and see where it takes. But I think, give it a 6 months timeline and see what happens.
That's great advice. And it's quite interesting because that's what happened with this iteration of the podcast. So listeners will know, or may know, unless they're new to me completely, that I had a podcast which ran for 72 episodes through COVID. I had a co-host and we chatted each week with a guest expert, much like now, but it has a slightly different focus because we were totally focused on only virtual assistants. However, this time I'm talking to a wide range of guest experts that will appeal across all assistants, wherever you are. But I was sitting on a plane last September. I have a daughter and son who live in the Miami area, and it's a very long flight. And I was thinking, oh, I'd rather like to do this podcast malarkey again. I really enjoyed doing it. Who would I like to talk to? And I got to a list of 20 names. So I parked that for a little while, and then doing some posting on LinkedIn with my good friend Lindsay Taylor. She posted something and Jodie Mears posted. And then I said, oh, well, I'm actually thinking about bringing it back and it's going to be this. And everybody said, oh, go on, do it, do it. And then all the people I wrote to said yes. And then people suggested other people, which is how I got to you. I think it was Jo Brianti who suggested you, because she suggested most of the people that I don't know. And she's who used to be my co-host on the original one. So it's very exciting, and you're right. You just need to validate your idea, and once you've got that validation, you're good to go. And this episode, we're recording it on January the 14th, listeners, just in case you're wondering. But it's not actually going to air until the 1st of April. So I'm so blessed that all these people wanted to talk to me that we'll have things scheduled so far ahead. So, Anna, it's been an absolute delight talking to you today and learning about PallyTalk and the journey. And I will be putting all of Anna's contact details on the show notes page. And this episode, as all episodes, will be on your favorite podcast player and on YouTube and on the Virtually Amazing Assistants website. So, there'll be many places where you can go to listen or watch us. Anna, do you have anything final you'd like to say?
If you're not signed up, please join us over on PallyTalk. But no, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, this is amazing. I'm so pleased everyone said yes, and I can't wait to listen to all the episodes.
Yeah, no, it's been very, very exciting, very overwhelming because it's a lot of work in producing a podcast, but it's great fun, and I get to talk to all these amazing people. So thank you very much, listeners. Today's episode of Virtually Amazing Assistants, the podcast for virtual assistants everywhere, with the wonderful Anna Bailey, and I'll be seeing you all next week with another episode.